Hi and welcome to this short session on how to use the Healthy Schools IMatter PSHE curriculum with me, Eleanor Coleman-Reid, the PSHE Health Improvement Specialist for Manchester Healthy Schools. Okay, so this session will take just under 20 minutes to complete, and in this you'll gain an understanding of the 5 different strands of the IMatter PSHE curriculum, the PSHE teacher's responsibility when using these resources, and the various resources you have access to and how to use them, each effectively. Okay, so within the IMatter PSHE curriculum, we have 5 areas that have been developed by each of our health improvement specialists. And these 5 areas are the following: so relationships and sex education, mental and emotional health, keeping safe, healthy lifestyles, and living in the wider world. So all of these are fairly straightforward for you to understand. We've got keeping safe, which does include our health areas of drugs and alcohol education and also unintentional injury prevention. And within mental and emotional health, we have our health areas of mental health and well-being and social and emotional health. While living in the wider world, we do not have a separate health area for this strand. These topics have been included to meet the PSHE Association recommendations for a robust, comprehensive PSHE curriculum. So we really hope you do include this in your PSHE development. Okay, so by using these resources that we've provided to you for free to Manchester schools, we expect a necessary amount of adaptation from our original resources to meet the needs of your school setting. So just to go through a couple of the responsibilities from different areas, we have here the PSHE lead, who should be the person who will be choosing the lessons that you'll be using from the IMatter resource pack based on its suitability and accessibility to meet your school needs. They should be informing you in advance of the lessons you should be delivering to your class for the term or topic or year. You as a PSHE teacher will need to prepare for PSHE as you would any other lesson, checking the lesson plan and PowerPoint in advance. You will need to edit the IMatter PowerPoints and lesson plans to fit timescales. They have been created for a 1 hour a fortnight of PSHE. However, some of these lessons do include quite a lot of activities, so you might find that it lends itself more to 2 hours a fortnight. If you have shorter periods of PSHE time, for instance 45 minutes, it really will need careful adaptation to fit your time and schedule. We also need to highlight that these lessons, while they've been created to be challenging for all, they will need to be differentiated for the needs of the pupils in your class. So do work with your teaching assistants where possible here to meet your students' needs. And finally, you need to be particularly mindful of sensitive lessons. The very nature of PSHE as a subject is a very personal one. It's very, very complex, and we are really raising important but sensitive issues with our young people in this space. So it's really important to work with your designated safeguarding lead to identify pupils who may find certain lessons potentially triggering and to be able to create an alternative pathway for those students if, for instance, it wouldn't be appropriate for them to be in that lesson, or maybe it's just that there's an activity that they don't take part in or has been changed for their needs. So this is all things you will need to consider before delivering the lesson. Okay, so this is the overview of our original suggested curriculum map, and this has been provided to you and your PSHE lead. This map covers approximately 1 hour of PSHE a fortnight, as I mentioned, and we consider this to be the minimum time that you should spend on PSHE, so 1 hour a fortnight. However, it is best practice to have at least 1 hour a week. If your school does deliver this amount, then you will find plenty of lessons that lend themselves to becoming to be able to fill the space of 2 hours, as I mentioned previously, and this will allow deeper learning to take place. Your own school provision and curriculum map should look different from this. However, it may look similar because you're using a lot of the content we're providing. However, it is the duty of the PSHE lead to create a curriculum that is tailored to the needs of your school. So we don't recommend using this curriculum as it stands in its entirety, as it will undoubtedly lead to duplication of content across subjects and year groups. So therefore, it is the responsibility of the PSHE lead to audit the school's PSHE provision across all year groups and subjects and create an informed curriculum that avoids replication. And to do this, we have included the PSHE audit tool within your IMatter resource packs. So do make the most of that. And if you need any support in doing that, then I'm more than happy to sit down with the PSHE lead and have a discussion on how we can adapt this to your school setting. Okay, so other things that are included in your resource packs are the medium-term planning and guidance documents. These are useful for an overview of each lesson in the year that you are delivering to. The first column includes the lesson title and its connection to the RSE statutory guidance, as you can see below. So you can see how you're fulfilling the criteria for the statutory guidance there. The second column refers to the PSHE Association's Programme of Study links, and this is the national leading body for PSHE. So we thought it was really important to show you how we are meeting expected requirements within PSHE. The third column refers to pupil skills that are being developed in this session. This should be something to bear in mind when deciding on any assessment opportunities or activities. So making sure the activity allows for the demonstration of the skills that have been developed. Very often this could mean the development or the use of role play skills, drama, hot seating. They can all allow ways to practice and to demonstrate the progression of these skills. The fourth column here is the learning objectives and the learning outcomes you can expect to cover in this lesson. And then the next column is the teacher guidance, particularly important to pay attention to if it is a sensitive lesson, as it will give advice on how to support you. So whether that's speaking to the DSL or finding further online support to support you in this session. The final column is where we have gathered further resources you can find online from lessons, PowerPoints and videos. This could be if you're hoping to vary the activities from what is suggested in IMatter or deepen the learning taking place by using it across 2 hours a fortnight. Next, we have the short-term lesson plans. The lesson plan is straightforward to use, as you can see. We have provided you with approximate timescales for each activity and explained how to use the activity in the middle there and which slides it corresponds to on the PowerPoint. And which learning outcomes are being achieved by completing the activity. And then on the final column, it highlights which resources you'll need, as well as where you can find them. Very often you'll find the resources you need are within the PowerPoint itself. They're often embedded. You will also see there is sometimes a note above the beginning of the lesson, and this could be us highlighting something you need to take into account for that lesson, or it could be highlighting the sensitive nature of the lesson and to remember how to make sure or to think about who you've got in your lesson. Is it potentially triggering to anyone in that lesson? Next then we have the lesson PowerPoints and the resources themselves. The lesson PowerPoints will include guidance in a hidden slide at the beginning, as sometimes, and this will be as a reminder if it is a particularly sensitive lesson, for instance. The worksheets for each of the lessons are very often included in the PowerPoint for sake of ease while using. And when in terms of explaining and presenting to the class, this will be just the easiest way of doing it. Just make sure you don't print whole PowerPoint when you click print slide. Underneath most slides, you'll find your teacher notes, likely that, and that will be likely to be the same as the lesson plan to remind you of key points to focus on in this section, and an explanation of the activities as well. Okay, so in terms of the makeup of the lessons themselves, I'm going to just talk to you through a few best practice principles, as well as things to highlight about the lessons and what it consists of. So first of all, every one of our lessons will include a slide showing ground rules. And this will look something like this. It will highlight respect, listening, and confidentiality to help you create that open learning ethos with mutual teacher-pupil respect. This can be developed with the pupils themselves, and it's really important as a way of safeguarding for yourself too. This could be a time where, for instance, you say that while you may usually answer personal questions, that within this 1 hour of PSHE time, Miss or Sir won't be answering personal questions. And this means that young people can feel a bit more confident and not put off if they do ask a question, but you do say something along the lines of, remember what I've said, for this lesson, I won't be answering personal questions. This is something that can be agreed and reviewed before and during the lesson, and this could be something that is particularly useful for secondary school setting to remind pupils of the importance of respect and listening. So next, it's really important that you use the starters or even create your own for the purpose of our IMatter lessons. So this will include, this could include things like a graffiti wall, questioning, a mind map, what do you know about, or what do I think about? So there's a number of a variety of different starters that we've included. Please feel free to use those or adapt them to starters that suit you and your school. It's just so important we include it to make sure that you know where the learners are and they're starting together, and you're not assuming they have prior knowledge on a subject just because on a curriculum map it says that they've covered something the previous year, for instance. It's really important to remember that lessons may have been missed, particularly within this time of lockdown and pandemic. So do make sure you know where the learners are to begin with. So do that baseline assessment, check with them what they already know. At the end of every one of our lessons, we include a signposting slide. So this is really important for our young people. And the reason why that is because we really need to make sure that in these lessons, like I said, because of the sensitive nature, because they can be so personal, young people need to know where they can go to ask further questions that they may not be comfortable with within the school setting. So remind them of who they can speak to at home. For instance, if it's in a primary setting, you might want to remind them of the trust hand. And if you don't know what the trust hand exercise is, it's just drawing around your hand and allowing them to write in 5 people they feel like they could go to if they have any trouble. And this should include family members, but also people beyond their family. And this is to make sure that they have a variety of people who they know that they can talk to in a safe way. So that is that's one of the ways that we can help or remind our young people about who to talk to. And then there should also be a section on who they can talk to within school and how they can communicate with them. And then particularly in a lockdown setting, it's really important that they know the ways that they can talk to those teachers. Then we've got helplines and online. So if it has been a really, really tricky lesson or potentially a lesson that the pupils may not feel as confident to ask questions, then they will really benefit from having trusted online trusted websites or quality assured resources to direct them for further information. So these can be found really simply on the slides that we've provided for you, but you're more than welcome, of course, to enter your own and, of course, make it specific to your school. The final bit to think about is planning time for reflection. So again, because it can be quite heavy, some of the content that we look at within PSHE, it's really important that we wrap up the lesson. So this could be within the plenary or within a game, but it should really be a time that students can reflect, have time to ask questions, particularly in a safe way, perhaps in an anonymous way using Ask It baskets. If it is particularly heavy, maybe try and find a way to ease into a light game before they are going out, maybe into their next lesson or break, or to make sure that they're ready for the next part of the day. Okay, so finally, it's really important to highlight that these IMatter resources are in the pilot phase. So everything that I've mentioned to you and that we've created so far is at the point of being used, but unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we haven't been able to pilot these lessons the way that we usually would by going into schools and co-delivering with you. So what we are asking you to do is please to pilot for us, and in that sense, all we're asking is 2 minutes of your time at the end of a lesson or when you have that time available. I appreciate it is very limited, but this will be a super quick way of letting us know how the lesson went, what went well, and what you think will be better, you think would make this lesson even better for our Manchester pupils. So please do take the time to fill this in. You'll find this slide on the last slide of every IMatter PowerPoint, and all you need to do is click on that button in the middle, and it's a 2-minute online survey, and it sends it back to us, and we're able to take that feedback and adapt and create a really excellent curriculum for you. So your feedback is really appreciated. Okay, so that brings me to the end of this session. I hope you found it useful and it's answered your questions on how to use the IMatter curriculum. However, if you do have any further questions, obviously, of course, please do feel free to contact me at the email address here, and I'll be more than happy to assist you however I can. Thanks for listening.